everyone, it's Jeanette Johnson with Century 21 Connect Realty,
And Isaiah Lyles with Primerica Financial Services.
and welcome back to Mind Your Business show.
Back in the mind, back in the mind.
As always,
What we talking about?
yes. All right, so today we are covering the importance, the absolute importance of vetting and choosing the right professionals, not only to help you through your real estate transaction, but as well as your financial journey, finding the right financial professionals and programs to consider when you're saving and investing your money to, potentially buy that next house.
Yeah, that's a very important step in everything. And I know there's a lot of chatter out here and a lot of just misinformation when it comes down to what you do in the real estate market as an agent. Because a lot of times you hear people saying, "Oh, agents don't do anything but show property." So talk to me about that. Talk to them about that.
The go-to I know in my field is definitely the useless, just there to open doors. Those are the biggest myths I feel like I hear every day in my business.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, overall, just like seeking out the right professional is important because realizing that those myths are not true. And so I hear all the time, real estate agents don't do anything. They're just, there to open doors, and they're just um there for essentially the show. And I know that you can watch a lot of TV, especially things like Selling Sunset. What do they got? The Agency out there, that new Netflix show. And then they've got
Selling
all of
every city.
these, shows on Bravo where you just see pretty much these glamorized agents who are just, driving fancy cars and then just talking about all of the clients they have. But the reality is that that's not the case, especially when there's so much more that comes to our position than just opening a door for you or just
Right.
trying to search for the house, because as we know, we have so many different platforms like Zillow and all of that for you to do that yourself before you even touch us. So yeah, we watch the shows and we see that like people are not, we're not taken serious in our field. And I realize too is that there are a lot of people out there who are not qualified overall to really help you and guide you through these experiences, because it's not necessarily the easiest process to get licensed, but pretty much anybody can do it. You can go pay for a course, go get your license, and you can become a professional in this field, quote unquote. But I believe there's so much more steps to that, and there's definitely a certain like guide and care and dedication we want to give to clients and customers to help them in like one of the biggest purchases of their life.
Yeah, and that's actually one thing I wanted to kind of get at and ask you, because a lot of times that um there's a lot of real estate agents out here. Let's be honest. Well, real estate agents out here, let's be
Hmm.
honest, because a lot of times we can might have somebody in your family or a friend group or somebody that you know who has a license. Um but I was kind of ask you, what's the difference between someone who just has a license versus someone who's actually an agent, somebody in the field really getting it done?
Yeah, well, I would say that there's definitely a few things to look for and consider when you're trying to find somebody who's not just a licensed realtor,
Hmm.
because you can be full time, you can be part time, you can kind of just wait for somebody to say, hey, sell this house for me. There's different levels in which you can commit to this business
Right, right, right.
from the real estate side, but then there's also different levels that you can commit to your customer. And one thing I think is like number one, top on the list, always be looking out for is communication. And this is going to be a big separator because I have never realized how terrible people are at communication. And this
Woo.
goes this goes for every field out there.
Oh yes, they're bad at communicating on my side too. So yeah, every field when you're dealing with people, you might deal with a communication breakdown.
I mean, and just even with being a home owner, home seller, home buyer, whatever it is, whatever placement you are, communication on your level is important as well, but in communication on our level is extremely important because we should be available to you, especially the times we say we're going to be available.
Yeah.
So if you're seeking out a real estate agent and they're not answering their phone at 2:00, but they told you that 2:00 was an available time for them, or they didn't necessarily get back to you. Let's say you left a voicemail and said, hey, please get back to me whenever you have the time, and you don't hear anything back for 24 hours, 42 hours, whatever the case may be is, and you're like, okay, if this is how they're treating me as a customer, as a client to them,
yeah, that would rupture the trust level, honestly, because it's like, why would I there's time frames that come into play with these things.
Yeah.
If you find a house that you like and it's like, okay, I want to jump on this, I want to put in an offer, and 48 hours later, oh yeah, I heard you wanted to put in an offer. That house might be gone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
There's a chance.
that's a good point too, because what you don't realize is, yeah, you might be responsive to the customer because you're trying to keep this fake respect level going, and you're trying to say, okay, I am a communicator. So you might answer to them, but do you answer to the other agents on the other side? Let's say you have a property listed. There's times when you reach out to the listing agent and they're a ghost. I mean, like, you can text them, you could call them, you can email them, and you're not getting a response until they see it feasible to respond back to you. And I don't care how busy you are, how many transactions you're doing, you need to be able to respond to somebody. There's definitely a window of time in which you can respond. So communication is so key. Finding the right professional who's going to communicate not only with you, but with the other party in the transaction, whether you're on the buy side or sell side, very much the sell side. You want somebody to answer their phone if they're listing your house. But yeah, communicate, please.
For sure.
Communicate.
So let me ask you this, Jeanette. So when it comes down to vetting a real estate agent, and you might know a few, okay, but at the same time, you don't know how to go about picking one. Like, how would you tell somebody to go about picking one? I know they need to be a good communicator, but is there a way that we can figure out some red flags to consider before getting into that contract? Because a lot of people can show you the one side of their face, but as soon as you get into contract,
there's
they take off that mask, and they might be a whole different person that you end up not wanting to work with, but you're stuck into a situation with them. So
yeah, I mean, communication, red flag. I know I said it already, but I mean it. If you're already having a hard time before you even get to the offer and anything like that, then don't even waste your time, waste your breath with that. And then definitely I would consider not necessarily trying to school the person or trick the person into finding out what they know about the market. But let's be honest, we're all going to work with who we know, like, and trust. You know what I mean? You're going to, even if somebody reaches out to you on a whim, you see a flyer, or however you're marketed to, you still want to build some sort of relationship with that person. So even if you find somebody online and you're like, okay, I might consider this person, I don't know them yet, but I'm going to vet them and I'm going to try to see how our relationship can build. You're going to want to test their knowledge a little bit. You're going to want to see how much they know about the market. If they're wanting to list your house, they should be familiar with that area. Maybe that's not their area that they sell in every single day of the week, but maybe they're going to do their research and say, okay, I've seen what's coming in and out of here. I've put a second eye on it, and this is what I think your house is going to be worth, based off of the educated guess I'm placing on it.
Right.
So being familiar with what's going on in the markets and the trends and everything is extremely important. You don't want anybody just kind of going off of a whim, because you can create a number in your head, but the professional should know a number.
Yeah, they should. I would definitely agree with that. A professional should be able to hear your concerns, hear your cry, and hear what you want, but at the same time be able to manage those expectations as well. So no, that's a major gem right there.
Yeah, and looking out for your best interest is another thing that you should consider.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit harder to vet because, like you
It's very
said,
hard to
maybe
vet,
they're
but
looking at you a certain type of way in your face, but when you go behind closed doors, you don't know what they're saying or if they're working for you in the best way. But seeking a professional who's going to work specifically for you. This means you're paying them. This is some sort of, investment you're putting toward each other. They have to, we have a fiduciary duty to our clients to take care of them. And that is
no, for
something
sure.
put into place, in our fields to protect you as a client and having that relationship with you. And if you try to kind of go around that, let's say you don't want to work with like a buyer's agent or whatever, and you want to go straight to the listing agent and work with them specifically, there's no obligation for that listing agent to be in your best interest. Their obligation is to the seller to be in their best interest.
Ooh, that's a good point right there. Never
Yeah.
thought of it from that perspective right there.
Well, people just think, okay, agent, they're
Mhm.
just going to do what's right, or they're just going to do what they're supposed to do. But there's things in place because we're all people at the end of the day, and
different goals and motives.
And you want to make sure that person has the right motive when they're working with you, and that puts kind of something solid, something solid in place so that they can.
Oh, for sure. Because I would definitely say in our industry, my side of things, it's that fiduciary responsibility. That's something that you mentioned that kind of stood out to me. That's something that's really big and really necessary because you have to be. It's our duty to make sure we keep good faith, good confidentially, and really work into your best interest. Because let's face it, there's going to be compensation on our end. So at the end of the day, you don't want to work with somebody who's just only in it for the compensation. That's a red flag right there. And
super.
You don't want somebody who's going to where there's a conflict of interest in it going into play with things. So that's just a no. That's just something that's going to really taint the relationship, taint the deal, and maybe get you into something that's going to be cool and something that you kind of want on the front end, but working there as time goes on, what happens on the back end? Is it going to work out? Is it something that you can afford? Is it going to be something that's going to be end up being more of a hassle that you could really withstand? And if someone's not working in your best interest, they might say, okay, yeah, get into this, put your money here, do this. But on the back end, you end up having to take your money out, pull your money out, or policy lapsing, or foreclosure happening. So there's so many things that could happen on the back end if you're not if the agent is not considering these things on the front end.
Considering you first, not the pay we're going to receive, not the end result. Because also you want to consider, and a good agent or a good professional is going to consider getting a return. And by return, I mean returning customer or a referral or something like that. That is kind of the business mindset when it comes down to not only looking out for people in an honest, genuine way, but I want you to come back. I want you to, say good things about me. I would never want to jeopardize this relationship I have with you because I want you to come back. I want you to tell your cousins, brothers, uncles, sisters, friends that I helped you do this with honesty and integrity. You know what I mean? So if somebody's not considering that, they're not considering you and they're not looking out for you. So red flag. Red flag it. But you said, you started talking about even in the financial world, how if somebody is not looking out for your best interest, it can really affect everything on the back end. So even with you, like what are some things that you would consider people look out for when they're vetting, somebody to help put their money in the right place, especially for something like becoming a homeowner?
Okay, what I would look for is make sure they're licensed. Oh God, please make sure they're licensed.
So you deal with, because that's interesting. You deal with people not being licensed in this field, trying to give.
I mean, there's a lot of people who are going to give you advice, tell you what to do and everything. But number one, if they're not licensed, they can't set something up for you.
Gotcha.
So they can give you a bunch of information, and then it's like, oh, great, good information. What do I do next? Ooh. You gotta, you don't want that. You don't want somebody to just tell you to, oh yeah, you got to go find somebody else who's licensed. You might as well just talk to somebody who's licensed.
Right.
But not just that, you want somebody who's going to empower you. And when I say empower you, I mean empower you by educating you. Because if someone's just pushing for a sale, just pushing to um hurry up, get this product, and not and just giving you basic information on it, limited information on it, you might think that you're doing the best thing for you, your family. You might, a lot of times these companies are preying on people who want to do a good job for their families, who want to do the best job and make these good decisions, but at the same time, with limited information, um, you might just be getting just in anything.
Yeah. So elaborate preying on them in the way. Like, what do you mean in regards to they're preying on them? You elaborate on that for me.
Okay, so we have a lot of buzzwords going on outside. There's a lot of buzzwords that kind of catch people's eye, catch people's ear that they might not fully understand, like Roth IRA or high yield or saving, investing.
Yeah.
These all these
Like ding
buzzwords,
words.
these
Yeah.
ding words that make somebody say, "Oh, I've heard this. This is what I need to do."
Mm-hmm.
Cool, but without that, with that limited information, you might have a Roth IRA, which is good. That's
Mm-hmm.
good. You did good. However, what's inside of it?
Yeah.
What did that person who set it up put inside of it? Just a money market? That's gonna get limited growth. So there's people our age, we're
Mm.
young, under 30. So there's no reason that we should be going for low returns. In my
Right.
opinion, because you go to the bank or credit union, they're gonna set you up in a certificate of depression. I mean, CD account, which is going to be limited, which is going to be a very low rate of return on your money.
Right.
So at the end of the day, if you don't know things like the rule of 72, that's where the education comes in, education to empower. Then you can know
Mm-hmm.
that, okay, this rate of return, you know what you're hearing, you know what you're getting. If you're getting a low rate of return, you're like, okay, this 3 goes into 72 24 times. It's going to take 24 years for my money to double just one time. That's a long time. You got to add that 24 years to your age. Okay.
Right.
If you don't know that basic accounting principle dealing with money, then anything that somebody tells you is high yield, you're going to say, oh, okay, cool. They told me it's high yield. That's that
That's
buzzword.
it. That's the right thing to do. That's what they're gonna think. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it comes down to. What I mean when I say people are praying, because they're
Yeah.
setting you, anybody who wants to set you up something without educating you first.
Red flag.
That's a red flag. And you also want somebody who's going to diagnose before they prescribe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you wouldn't walk into a doctor's office and then he say, "All right, yeah, you need to take XYZ." Wait, what's the problem? What are you here for again? No,
Right.
it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that.
Red flag.
Red flag that. You want somebody who's going to sit down, listen to your goals, hear you out, hear what you're trying to do, and then say, all right, here are the different options and different routes that you can go based off of this information that I gave you. What do you want to
Absolutely.
do? Not just what I'm going to put you in. Because I'm a professional, I know what's best for you based off of what you tell me. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, you want to be able to know what to say. Okay, he said I should be putting into this account based off this information he gave me. That's not right. You want to be able to vet that information on your own as well,
Mm-hmm.
based off of just having some knowledge. And somebody who wants to, who's going to listen to you and give you a good comprehensive game plan.
Yeah.
I think that's important too, as far as comprehensive, as far as being able to look into different areas. Because based off of the company I'm in and the licenses I'm have, we're able to look at different areas of somebody's life and say, okay, because you have this, you may not want to go that route, or because you have this, you want to go this route. Because how often does the bank call your insurance company and say, hey, uh would this be good for them? Or the insurance company call the bank and say, hey, would this be something that they can afford.
Right.
It's not
Never.
happening.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have somebody who can give you something that's comprehensive, they can work together in these different fields and pull it all together and give you a financial needs analysis that's going to say, all right, this is good for you now, later, and down the road too.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also going to work with you along the way. I'm with you for life. If you're my client, we're in it for life.
Right. And that kind
we're
of
gonna-
tailors into that thing of, okay, I'm going to make sure I take care of you because I want you to be my client
Yeah.
for life. I want you to feel supported through whatever life shifts you got going on, whatever, changes you might want to do. I want to be there to help you and support you and guide you.
Right. And for me personally, I want to see you hit your goals.
Yeah.
Because I sit down and I have my clients give me their goals. What are your financial goals? What do you want to see for yourself in the future? What do you want to see for your family in the future? And I want to see you check those off.
Yeah.
I want to be debt free. Let's work that plan. I can't wait till your debt freedom date. I'm gonna make it way sooner than whatever you're on now, but I can't wait for that date. And you can say I'm debt free. Okay, bet we check that off, and then we're gonna work down to the next plan.
And you're like raving about that more so than anything else, and that's a green flag, I would say, when you're like vetting somebody, getting somebody to be on your team, because you can hear people all day of the week talking about, oh, I make this much money. These are the sales goals that I achieved. These are this is that. But how often do you hear those same people or people in that same field say, I helped this many people this year. I helped this person do this. They accomplished a goal and it just made me feel so good inside. Who's talking about those, marks?
Right.
Not many.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that kind of really got me fired up in this industry, is really being able to change somebody's financial future for the greater good. And because you hear so much information out here, there's not a lot of hope going on, and we can really change that.
Yeah,
you can get somebody to their home goals. They want to be homeowners. They want to be people with investment properties. They want so many things for themselves. They want to retire. They want their kids to go to a good college. They want to be able to vacation whenever they want. They want to live the retirement of their dreams. There's so many things that people want out here, and we're in position to be able to help them go after it and actually achieve it. And I think that's super exciting.
And I agree. And I love your excitement because
you see me get fired up.
I see you getting fired up about it. And it's just so exciting. Yeah. But overall, what we really want is for you to vet your professionals. So that's the whole goal of this conversation. Vet your professionals. And it is okay to be selective and to be choosy. Don't feel like you are stepping on anybody's toes, or, look out for your best interest. Don't make the wrong choices just to appease whoever's in your circle.
Yeah.
Go around and find the right person who is actually going to go out there, fight for you, do what is best for you, and consider your needs, wants, and goals.
You owe it to yourself, not to them. You owe it to yourself.
Owe it to yourself always.
Yeah. So as always, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share with a friend. Let us know what you feel in the comments below and everything.
And always remember to
mind your business.